All right, shall we go back to the class now? Okay, so let's continue. The next topic, and for the last for this chapter is awareness. All right, anybody knows the meaning of awareness? As we discussed earlier in the introductory part of this chapter, what do you understand about awareness? Huh? It looks like you are not aware about what's going on with our class.
It is I
Yeah,
think, I believe it's the perception of like a situation or a fact,
yeah,
or the
very good.
knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's just like that. No, awareness is the state of being conscious of something, right? Specifically, this is our ability to directly know and perceive or to feel on the events that are going around us. That is actually the meaning entirely of awareness, right? Let's just try to look into the different types of awareness that we may actually have. Right? We have the innate awareness, no? Innate, internal, right? That is associated with our internal drive. Innate awareness, if you're going to look at this, that we are born with different types of awareness comprising or making the capacity to sense intuitively without words what is actually real or not. This is actually our internal drive to explain what's going on, all right? To perceive about what's going on. Okay, so that is our innate awareness. Moving forward, no, we have what we call as adjustment awareness. No, adjustment means changing oneself to do or to go to direction where one's leads you life. This is normal to adjust to avoid pain, no, fear and trouble, whether caused by events or people. We say adjustment, our inability to change the course of event that we would like to have, that we would pursue. Like, for instance, if we actually see that one thing that we are doing gives us more pain, then we have to stop and we have to adjust. So that is actually the thing, no? As I mentioned earlier, awareness is the state of being conscious of something, of what's going on, your ability to perceive what's going on. So therefore, as a human being, if you know that you are leading your life in different direction, that means to say life that is not worth living, life that is full of pain, the tendency for you is to make adjustment. You have the ability to do that. That's the reason why you as human beings would always be in constant adjustment all the time. Just like in driving, you see, you are constantly adjusting the wheel and the gear. Very fast, you go on neutral. You go on fast one, no, fourth one. Slow or climbing, maybe you go to number one or number two. Gear. Just like our life, we have to slow down, we have to move fast. We know how to do that. Just because we know what's going on around us, just because we are perceiving that something may actually happen to us, may lead to pain or may lead to more sufferings, will lead to trouble. So what are we going to do right now? As human beings, our tendency is to stop, relax, and make necessary adjustment. That is adjustment awareness. This is actually a part of consciousness that we may actually have. There's a part of consciousness that we are actually equipped with. No? So just because we are conscious about what's going on, therefore we are aware about what must happen in the future. Therefore, we can actually adjust. That is adjustment awareness. Moving forward, no? The low awareness zone. You should know the different zones of awareness. All right. So what do we have here? No, this zone of awareness means sitting down for a relatively sound and adapted lifestyle, giving up the desire to realign with the person you were meant to be. What do you mean by this? See? Look at this. This zone of awareness means sitting down. That means to say you barely notice about what's happening. Like, for instance, at first, Let's try to proceed with your entrance to the college of nursing. First year, high level of awareness. The zone is very high. Then all of a sudden, it becomes normal. Sometimes you may not notice it. Another very example is driving. At first, your senses are actually, when you're learning how to drive, are up. But when you're driving, you barely notice that you're driving because it comes automatically. You may not think. You lost your awareness in the environment. You are lost in cognizance of what's actually going on. That is actually the meaning of this. Another one, you got a husband, for instance. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that later on with the low awareness relationship. No, this is the thing. You barely notice their presence. This is because you are already aligned with them. You know that everything comes automatically. This is the meaning of low awareness zone. Going forward, as you apply this in your education, if you're reading and studying constantly, studying is automatic already. When you reach home, you read. You barely notice that you are studying, but you are studying just because you are adapted to it. You align yourselves with it because you are meant to be with it. That is the meaning of the low awareness zone. Moving forward, another zone is on low awareness relationship. No, this is a super choice for something individuals to spend much time in a bonding form. To be with one who is acting one above while the other is one below. You see, you should know where you stand as a husband and a wife. You know your relationship in the family, for instance. You know that you're a wife, therefore you must know your place. If you're a husband, you should know your place also. You provide for the family. If you're a wife, you care for the family. You should know your function. And all of a sudden, this becomes automatic as time passes by. Loving your family becomes automatic. Loving your husband becomes automatic. You see? That's the reason why I asked you last time. When was the last time you said I love you to your parents? You see? Other answered long time ago. Just because you presume that's already automatic. You know that you love one another, you do not need to express. That is actually the thing because it's understood. It's a language that you understood. You could actually should have shown that by feeling, by your emotions. You do not need even to express because you know for a fact that your family loves you. This is actually the meaning of this one. And it comes most of the time. No? Absolute awareness is another thing, no? Absolute awareness, this is the inherent and natural state of being. However, conditions or states cannot exist at the same time, while any related state, conscious awareness stays present. You know for a fact that this happened, this happens. You lost your father, you lost your father. You die, you die. That is actually the meaning of this. No bargaining, and you cannot change anything. This is a natural state of being. You're a man, there is no chance, no? Like for instance, no? You are educated. So therefore, the tendency is that you could actually advance your career. You have no education, that's reality, that's natural cause of that's the natural state. Therefore, you cannot get much promotion that you want to be. Let's say for instance you are sterile. You cannot have children. Therefore, you should know that. You should know that. That's a fact that cannot be changed. You have to accept that. That is absolute awareness. Knowing that you cannot. That is absolute awareness. Knowing that you can. That's absolute awareness. Your ability to perceive what is supposed to be perceived, what is supposed to be a part of human nature, then that is absolute awareness. That is the thing. Now, you should actually understand that. So the bottom line is that as a person, as a human being, you should always know what is actually going on in your environment. It must always be based on reality. It must be always based on conscious perception, your ability to sense and perceive all the things that are actually happening around you. So you should know the different states, you should know the different levels also. of the awareness that we may actually have. All right. Any questions so far? I will end the chapter here, then I will start with another chapter, no? So let's try to look into the key points. What are the things that we have studied so far? So we understood about consciousness, no? So consciousness, as we know, pertains to our mental existence and has something to do with being awake. Consciousness would actually refer to attributes of mental conditions. Uh, so we also learned that patients are said to be conscious when they are awake, aware, and alert. No, patients are also in a semi-conscious state when there is a reduced wakefulness state that is sometimes called clouding of consciousness. No, so this is a clouding of consciousness. No, when you are half awake, half sleeping. That is actually the meaning of that. No, patients are classified as unconscious when they show no visual response to the passing of pin light. Now we discussed this last week. No verbal response when the nurse asks them questions. You know that no, there is no response, and we can actually measure this using the Glasgow Coma Scale. The scale has 3, the lowest, and 15, the highest. No, if you are 15, that means to say you are totally normal, fully awake, fully aware, fully conscious. If you are 3, you are in coma or dead. No, so no verbal response when the nurse asks them questions, no motor response to tactile stimuli when you touch them. So basically, the GCS score could actually be 3. In that case, the patient may be in the state of coma or maybe dead. Okay, so the stages of sleep that we have will be associated with different waves that we would actually be getting from the brain. No, alpha, beta, and delta waves. Alpha waves, this is actually very shallow. Delta waves, this is actually more, no, and that would actually associated with REM sleep, no. So there is also what we call as the transitional stage, no. Remember, in your sleep, there are actually 3 phases with various stages, no. In phase 1, hypnagogic phase, right? This is where you are actually half sleep, half awake, right? Phase two, non-REM. There are There are different stages, 4 stages. One, two, three, and four would actually be preparation for REM sleep. That would be for phase 3, right? When you are actually having your REM sleep already. So basically, during the time you are sleeping, no? So the way that you could actually derive from your brain when you are actually going to examine the brain waves would be that way. This is always associated with rapid eye movement, associated with sleeping, and associated with dreaming. All right. So moving forward, also sleep is important because if we are going to lose sleep, we may affect our concentration, we may affect our modes, and we may affect our behaviors. No. In order to improve sleep, we need to avoid worrying. You should know that. No, we should stop napping before sleeping at night. We should not drink caffeine, particularly tea, coffee, Red Bull, or any other drink that has high concentrate of caffeine. No, and we should eat good foods with fibers, but not overeat. Okay, because there will be some repercussions if you overeat. All right. Any questions so far about consciousness, awareness, and sleep? You understand now why every human being needs to sleep, why every patient needs to sleep. Yeah?
Yes.
Anything that you would like to add on? Or shall we say we can start with a new topic? Yeah. Okay. So that ends our consciousness, awareness, and sleep. Now I would rather go and start with a new topic, which is called sensation and perception. So far, so good. Our pacing is actually smooth. So we are moving slowly but surely. Okay. So sensation and perception. Anybody would like to tell me what's the meaning of sensation and perception? How do you understand sensation and perception based from your previous knowledge, maybe in your anatomy and physiology? Anything? Come on. How do you understand sensation and how do you understand perception? Basic knowledge.
Can I say about sensation?
Sure. Thank you, Rama. Yeah.
You're welcome. So, I believe sensation is like the feeling. It could be a physical feeling, could be mental feeling, or it could be like I feel sensation is a synonym of perception. Okay,
Mhm.
and they both, or let's specify, sensation, it results from like, something that happens or comes in like contact with your body.
Very good. Anything else? Would you like to add some more?
Can I
What?
say?
Yeah. Ah, yeah. Yes. Ah, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I think like just like what Rahma said, sensation is related like to what you feel. It could be like using all your five senses, and
Very
perception.
good.
And
Please take note of what you mentioned. No? Five senses. Okay. We'll strengthen into that later on. We discuss about that more. Go ahead.
yeah, and perception is what happens inside our like inside our mind, what we think, the way we like analyze things. I think that what perception means.
Very good.
and
No.
also and also perception is like being aware, or your ability to like to see or hear, or becoming aware of like something that is going through your senses.
Very good. Yes. So basically, uh, sensation comes first and perception comes next. So why is it that? No? So let us try to understand. Sensation is associated always with our five senses. Perception is how we interpret the sense stimuli. So to give you a very basic example here is that in sensation, we use our five senses to detect stimuli. What are the sources of stimuli? Outside our body. You get the point. So now there are always stimuli associated with so many things. Like for instance, sense of sight. We always associate stimuli using light waves. Whatever we see, the beauty, whatever we ugliness, beauty of something, and so on. Then our ears, we could listen to music. Now we know for a fact that they are here, right? There is music. How do we know the music is beautiful? How do we know the music is not beautiful, is not good? This is actually the work of perception. Perception is how we interpret the things that we pick up, how we interpret the stimuli. Therefore, the origin is inside us. The origin is the brain. The origin is your experiences that are stored in the brain. Okay? You get the point. Sensation comes first before perception. Sensation, all the stimuli comes from the outside. Perception comes inside our body. It is always associated with how the brain interprets what stimuli are actually there. That is picked up by your different organs. So we try to understand that as we go on. I would like to show you the following images, no? So anyway, if you're going to look at this, no? These are all the following senses that we may actually have. Eyes, taste, and so on. So all the stimuli actually comes around this, around. This will be picked by different sense organs and it will travel to the brain. Sensation stops there in the brain, all right? Now, what will the brain do with all the stimuli that are picked up by your different senses? It will be interpreted by your brain. The interpretation comes from your experiences and so on, all the stored information in the brain, so that it comes on the same direction from where it's picked up. That's what we call as perception. It perceives what the stimuli picks. So let us try to exercise a little bit our senses, no? So I'll give you some sort of, I believe Facebook actually gives you so much of this, but let us try to basically look at the picture that we have on the screen. Can you try to identify the different animals that are displayed there? Okay. So, basic example, can you give me one or two animals that you can actually observe from the picture projected in your screen? Anyone?
Is there a chimpanzee in here?
Was that?
Chimpanzee?
Chimpanzee. Yes.
Yeah. Is there one? I can't see it on the like the mountain. Is that
Yeah,
is that there?
yeah, chimpanzee. Very good.
Okay.
Who else? Come on, students, class, please identify.
Fish.
Fish in the clouds, right?
Yeah.
What else?
Cat.
Cat running after the fish, right? In the clouds. What else? There are plenty. You see?
There's a tiger also, I think. There's a
There is
tiger
a,
on the
all
mountain.
right. Mountain tiger, yes. What else? Come
Crocodile.
on. Crocodile, yes. What else?
Bear.
A fish something?
What's that? Come on.
Face?
Face, yes. Face, this one's face. That's the most obvious one.
Yes.
Frog.
Frog, yes. Come on. Exercise
Bear.
your brain. Beer, all right, very good. What else? Plenty. Oh, God, okay. Now, can you give me the reason why is it that you were able to identify those things? Can you explain? Anyone else? Anyone who would like to explain why is it that you were able to identify that animal? You know that it's a chimpanzee. You've known that there is a face. You've known that there is a frog. You've known that there is a fish. You've known
We're
that there is
able we're able to identify their features. That's why.
their features, right? How do you know their features?
We've seen like 1,000 photos when we were young and still about like animals, so of course we will know their features.
You have seen that before, right?
Yeah, and I'm still
Therefore,
seeing actually.
yeah. Therefore, it becomes a part of your experiences, isn't it?
Yes.
And it becomes a part of your experiences. These are deposited in the brain, right?
Right.
Therefore, when I am going to ask you, can you differentiate the sensation and perception? How do you sense and how do you perceive? You see? You know?
Hmm.
All right. When you said that it's a monkey, it's coming from your brain. Your brain digs out the pictures there. What are the images that I see? You get it? I could see a chimpanzee. So the brain says chimpanzee. Just because you experienced that before. So you have seen the pictures, you have seen the figure through the light that's emanating from your screen. So that's your senses. Your eyes work more. So it's actually picked up by your eyes. No? That is converted into light waves. The image of chimpanzee, for instance, no? This one, you cannot actually see this without the light waves, isn't it? Right? So, but of course, the reaction is very, very fast. In a nanosecond, no, your brain is quick to pronounce that is a chimpanzee when it sees that. Now, but of course, the process is long. The process is a little bit complex in a way. So let us try to convert first how we sense the monkey or how we sense the chimpanzee. By the way, this is the monkey, this is the chimpanzee, this is the cat, and this is the fish, and this is the fish, the face, no? Now, how do we discuss sensation here? Now, sensation from the root word sense or senses. These have something to do with the different sense organs that we have. All right. Now we see the chimpanzee. We see it because there is light. The picture that is the picture of chimpanzee is reflected by a light. So the light is actually converted into light waves. The image is converted into light waves. That's the only wave that can be picked up by the eyes. So that one becomes the stimulus. It enters our eyes. From the moment it enters our eyes, there are nerves there, isn't it? The optic nerves. Do you understand what I mean? The optic nerves is attached to your brain. So from there, it is converted into electrical signal from light waves that's picked by your optic nerve. From the optic nerve, it's actually converted into electrical signals. From there, it will travel to the brain. You understand? So its sensation stops there. From stimuli to electrical signal in the neurons, right? It stops there. The sensation stops there. Now there is impulse. There is impulse in the brain. There is electrical signal in the brain that's waiting to be interpreted. The brain picks up from your experiences. It picks up from a specific area of the brain that will actually allow you to see the chimpanzee. So the brain says it's a chimpanzee. So from there, it goes back to where the stimulus comes from, so that you are actually perceiving it. The moment you say chimpanzee, it's perception, because you were able to interpret the stimuli. You get the point. So it's a process that happens in minute of a second. In a nanosecond, actually, it's very quick, it's very fast. That's how our brain works. It comes first with the detection of signals, then followed by the perception, the interpretation of signals. That's how we actually look into that. That's the difference between sensation and perception. Sensation has something to do with the five senses. All the stimuli will be picked up by five senses. All the sense organs are attached with nerves. Remember that the 12 cranial nerves that you know on the old Olympus towering top of French and German with special hat. Yeah, optic, oculomotor. Remember those things? The 12 cranial nerves. These are all attached to our sense organs. And these are all the things, these are all the nerves that will pick up the stimulus coming from surroundings, yeah, including the sensation of pain. When we perceive that pain, we can actually sense it first by touching it. So nerve endings are attached to our skin so that this will travel to the brain, and from the brain, you are going to interpret that, you are going to perceive pain from there. That's how we look at that way. All right. So moving forward, when you try to look at the image, what can you make up with the image? Yeah? Are you seeing a moving object or not a moving object? Look closely.
Yes.
Look
It's a
at how your
mosaic.
brain,
It's a
is it
mosaic.
moving? It's a mosaic, yeah? Now, the thing is it moving or not moving?
Yeah, when you look at it. Oh, it's like manipulating.
That's how your brain is being manipulated, isn't it? You pick up this by your light, by your eyes. Then your brain has so many interpretations of it. So sometimes it's difficult to perceive what is it, isn't it? You can sense it, but that sometimes it's difficult to perceive. It's the manipulation of your brain in a way, somehow, because your brain does not know how to come out first. The decision is there. At first sight, at first glance, in a minute of a second, you see that the image is moving. But if you're going to look at closer, is it moving? It is not moving, isn't it?
No, it's
When
not
you're going
moving.
to closer, right? See, that's actually how your brain works. Okay? So you see some objects there that are perceived by your eyes, converted into electrical signals going to the brain, and your brain does not know how to interpret that. It has so many interpretations. So in way perception, the perception is actually confused. Maybe the image is moving, maybe the image is actually stationary. That's how your brain works. See? So that's the dynamics of sensation and perception. Okay? Another image that I would like to show to you. What can you perceive? What can you see first? And then later on, how can you perceive, or how would you have told that to me, no? What can you see from the image?
A girl,
A girl holding a
and
baby,
also
right?
old man.
A big
Old
head.
man. A big head. Yes. See, one simple image, your brain has so many interpretations. It will pick up very, very different images, isn't it? It depends on your experiences, right? That's the reason why in psychology we are always actually telling that your interpretation, or shall we call it perception, is dependent on your individual experiences. That's the reason why there are some of you here who saw a lady purse. There are some of you here who saw an old man purse. There are some of you here who saw the bird purse. So this is something to do or dependent with your individual experiences. The way you perceive things will be different from one another because your perception is associated with what's actually stored in the brain. Just like buying a computer, isn't it? All your classmates will buy HP, for instance, similar model. HP computer, HP laptop. All of you bought HP laptop, right? In one day, it's similar. When you set up, it's similar. But the following day, when you are going to show the laptop, you could have different, number one, you could have different software in it. You could have installed different colors or different icons. You could have used different features. You could have used different background. You see, this is actually the point. Human beings are similar in a way. You are similar in terms of your sense organ. You are similar in terms of your brain function, but different in terms of your experiences. Therefore, when you are going to interpret things, when you're going to perceive things, this perception will be dependent on the stored knowledge, on the stored experiences that you have in the brain. That's the reason why experience is very important in interpreting one thing. See, that's why doctors are always interpreting what they see differently because their experience is different, experience way back in their education. That's the reason why doctors and nurses will see differently. You see, just because of that. All right. Now, moving forward, let us try to look into the sensation and perception. Sensation and perception denote the neurological functioning, which can be attributed as a part of vital signs, of course. No, when you're going to see things and interpret things, therefore your brain is healthy. No, so this is when client loses all his senses, there will be a problem, and the perceiving capability is impaired. Therefore, you may be dead because there could be some serious neurological disorder. Therefore, there should be serious vital signs implication. You could be dead when you were not able to actually use your senses, and at the same time, you could not actually perceive. That's the reason why earlier we are going to assess the consciousness of a patient. We have to find out if the patient actually will be able to use or will be able to use the five senses. We call their names, we pass light. In short, we are going to hurt the patient. So that's the meaning of testing the five senses to find out if the patient is alive or not. In similar way, we have to test how they react on a specific test. Huh? The reaction, if the patient will be able to use his senses, therefore the patient is alive, but the person will not be able to use his senses and lose the capacity to perceive, then therefore the patient could be actually in the state of coma or the patient could be dead. That's the importance of this. Moving forward, no? So what is the difference between sensation and perception? Then, no? So let us try to look to look the word sensation. What is the meaning of this? No? This is the stimulation of sensory receptor. Sensory receptors are located everywhere in your body. All right? These are always situated in all your sense organs. You know for a fact that you have sense organ. The largest sense organ that you have will be your skin, isn't it? Then the others, you have your eyes, you have your nose, you have your tongue, you have your ears. They're all attached with nerve endings. That's the reason why we call it sensory receptors, the nerve endings. These sensory receptors are divided into two, isn't it? The motor receptors, or we call it the motor neurons. Yeah, are you familiar with that? This will actually be in charge with the transmission of sensory information to the CNS, right? While perception is the process, as we defined earlier, perception is the process by which sensations are organized into an inner representation of the world. In short, this is something to do with the interpretation of all senses that we have picked up from our surroundings. Okay? Moving forward, now to sense something has to have a certain level, of course, no? So this sensation, we can pick up things based on threshold. There is a point that we cannot pick up because they will not be able to meet the threshold. So this is actually very important. The reason why we could hear things because there is actually a threshold. If you're going to whisper and the threshold is not met, therefore we could not hear. That's the reason why we tell louder. You see? Or when we go into a dark room, something like we cannot actually see because it's dark. The threshold of sensation is not within 50%, therefore we need light. So we have to look into different thresholds also. This is very important. Now, the absolute threshold, as we know, is the minimum amount of sensory stimulation that can be noticed 50% of the time. The difference threshold is actually the smallest. No? So just like also for the pain reception, the hot receptors, the cold receptors, we could feel that that particular thing is cold because it meets the absolute threshold. The thing that will actually tell us that we could feel it, we could taste it, we could smell it, and we could hear it. No? Now, sensation is the detection of stimuli from the body or environment. The stimulus must always be coming from the environment that is outside the human body because the human body is always equipped with sensory and motor neurons. These are the two receptors that we will actually have at the end of every organs that we may actually have. No? So the body or environment, while perception is the act of interpretations. We interpret all the sensory input that we have gathered from our environment. All right? Now, the sensation is the passive process of bringing information from the outside world into the body and to the brain. So we stop in the brain, no? From the body, from the outside, going to the body, then going to the brain. It stops there. Without perception, we cannot interpret. You see, without interpretation, we cannot perceive. So sensation from outside to the brain. From the brain is perception. This is the active process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting the information brought about by the brain or to the brain by the different sense organs that we are equipped with. You see, that's how we look at that way. Now, how do we know what information is important and should be focused on? Now, sensation and perception has something to do with the type of attention that we are actually focusing on. The more focused you are, the more attention you can actually give. No? So let us try to look into the different parts and different types of attention. So number one, we have selective attention. What is the meaning of this one? No? This is the process of discriminating between what is important and not important and is affected by your motivation. When you are going to sense and perceive things, you are motivated by how important it is to you. When it is very important to you, then you can actually focus your energy, focus more on that so that you can actually pick up that particular stimulus and interpret that in your brain. So therefore, we have what we call a selective attention. I'll give you an example. In gatherings. Let's say you are gathered. There are 1,000 people in an auditorium. Okay. Obviously, this 1,000 people is unknown to you, for instance. Now, there is someone that is known to you. Let's say a classmate, a brother or a sister, who is joining the 1,000 crowd in a gymnasium or in an auditorium. The moment you are able to see the side, the hair maybe of that particular person, you are going to focus your attention on that particular person, disregarding the 999 people in the auditorium. So in short, your attention is focused on that. That is the reason why we have selective attention. You see? So we are going to focus our energy to only one aspect, to one important person in the crowd. That's the reason why we can actually elevate the level of sensation, elevate the level of perception that we may actually use. You see? Another one, like for instance, you are going to the supermarket and you are tasked to buy a very important material or merchandise in the supermarket. Your parents say, you buy this. So you know for a fact where to look. So when you go to the supermarket, you focus your attention on a specific description that your parents would actually have given you. So you are doing selective attention. You are narrowing down the selection. You are narrowing down the focus of your attention, because if you are going not to narrow down, then you will be confused. Your brain will be confused. Isn't it? That's the reason why when you are going to shopping, chances are you are actually getting easily tired because your brain are scattered. Your brain is not focused because you see things differently, you sense things differently. You're confused also. I'll give you a very definite example of this. I believe everybody is engaged in online shopping. Do you? Are you having online shopping? Are you familiar with known with Amazon?
Yes.
Have you been confused in buying from Amazon?
Rarely.
Yeah, but most of the time, including me, I know if I do not know what I want, I really am very confused, because when I search for one thing, a keyword, let's say I use a headphone, I want to buy a headphone. I type a headphone, and there are tons of headphones that will be displayed, isn't it?
Yes, and then I will be distracted.
Very good. Now you are losing much energy because you are focused. Now, how can you focus? How can you narrow down your choices? There are ways to narrow down your choices. You see, you write down what you want. You write down what features you want. Right or wrong? When you know what features, when you know what kind, then you can actually focus on how and what you're going to choose. Very basic example. You choose between wired and Bluetooth. You see? If you choose wired, you choose wired. What are the next property, or what are the next characteristics, or what are the next description that you would like to see? So you can actually narrow it down. That is the meaning of selective attention. You can focus more your attention to it. You see? If you know what you're looking for, you can focus your attention. You can easily find it. But if you are not focusing your attention, you can easily be distracted and you cannot find that particular thing. That is the meaning of selective attention. This is a process of discriminating between what's important and not important, that is actually affected by your own motivation, your own experiences, the thing that will actually help you understand more. Now let's try to go in number 2, perceptual expectancy. This is how we perceive the world. This is actually based on our subjective bias, no? A function of our precious culture, biological makeup, and experiences. We see the world as it is based on our biases, based on how we look at it, based is on culture. Like I see, for instance, I see someone holding hands. You see, when I see holding hands, people, a girl and a boy, holding hands in the supermarket or in the mall, maybe I will judge that's gross. No, that's not proper because I am not expected to see people like that. Because in my culture, it's not okay. You see? Another example, I see that as a Filipino. In my culture, it's okay. So I'm expecting that if you are lovers, you hold hands. Something like that. You see? So that is actually the meaning. We are actually dictated on how we perceive things based on our individual biases. We are guided by this. Okay? We are guided by our culture. I'll give you a very basic example. No, I think you will laugh. I have told you already about this. No, my concept of food before eating. Now, as a Filipino, my concept of food is very different. The rice must be separate from the dish. You see? So when I eat the dish and the rice, I feel so gross. It must always be separated from the start. Okay? So I'm expecting that when I eat, it must be separate. You know what? When I came to United Arab Emirates for the first time, I was surprised. Why is it that there is a serving of rice and dish at the same time? Your biryani, you know, your mutton biryani, rice and dish at the same time. At first, I was a little bit distracted, you know. This is not supposed to be how I would actually eat my dinner or my lunch. But eventually, I learned how to accept it. But first, I really feel gross because this is not a part of my culture. That is the thing. So another experience is actually, you know, it taught me a lot. When I took my IELTS, I was the only man queuing. You know, when I went to each city, that's where I actually took my IELTS. When I went there, I was the only man, and I joined the line of local girls. Somebody told me, "You're not supposed to be there. That line is for ladies only." You see, for me, it's okay to be in line with girls because it's okay to be mixed. But that is actually my own bias. But in the bias of other people, let's say the person who actually said it's not allowed because she is also affected by her own bias. That is actually her culture, the culture where she belongs, where men and women would have been separated. That's what we are expecting. We will continue more about this discussion next meeting. Now, for your attendance, I would like you to write present in the message board, okay? Any questions so far? If there is none, then you write your attendance. Please write present and your ID number in the message board, and you can actually leave the portal. Thank you very much, and have a nice day to all of you.